Welcome friends to another video, welcome to another list. This time around I'm going to talk about fragrances that I dislike, although they are featuring ingredients, notes that I truly like, appreciate, love in perfumery. I made a couple of days ago a list with fragrances that I liked, although they featured ingredients that I usually dislike in perfumery. Therefore today is the opposite. Let's start with the first fragrance from the house of Nasomato, comes Silver Musk. The reason for which I dislike this fragrance is very simple. This is a very linear scent. This is a very linear fragrance. It features musk, and that's all. You get some subtle white flowers in the background of this fragrance, but they are very muted. And the overall feeling, although is great, because this is a fresh, uplifting, clean type of scent, it's very, very boring at the same time. If it would have been the animalic musk that you can find in some other creations, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But for what it is, for a clean type of scent, I find it very boring. Therefore, it's a fragrance that I don't really like, that I don't really appreciate. Although performance-wise, it's a very good fragrance. Very good longevity, but projection and sillage, it's quite moderate. Next entry in this list comes from the house of the Woods collection, and this is called Glow. This is a very oriental type of fragrance. You have leather, you have raspberry, you get saffron in this one, and the reason for which I dislike this fragrance is actually the saffron. I like saffron, but it depends quite a lot on how it's interpreted in a fragrance. In this one, it's very strong, it's very powerful, and it simply takes the whole lead of the composition. Therefore, it mutes all the other ingredients, and the saffron in this one is very screechy. Very good performance with this one. Some people may find this fragrance very, very good, but to me, not really. I do like saffron, as I said. That's why my favorite saffron comes from the house of Map of the Heart, and it's called Golden Heart. This is something truly magnificent, and I highly recommend it if you love saffron. This also has sandalwood and lactonic notes. Therefore, it's something different. Next one up in this list comes from the house of Montal, and it's called Blue Matcha. Again, the reason behind me disliking this fragrance is the linearity of this fragrance. It features some very interesting ingredients, such as matcha tea. So if you love tea fragrances, you might actually enjoy this one. But to me, it wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't as complex as I wanted it to be. And actually the tea note in this one is very muted on my skin. Also, you get a huge blast of flowers with blue matcha. It's a good scent for summertime especially, but it isn't something that I truly enjoy wearing. Very good performance nonetheless, but as I said, I do have better tea fragrances in my collection that are more interesting, more complicated, more complex if you want. Unfortunately, blue matcha for me simply isn't one of them. Therefore, it's featured in this list. From the house of Acqua di Parma, as much as I like this house, because it's one of my favorite houses, this is the one that I truly don't appreciate. Colonial Futura. There are two reasons why I don't like this fragrance that much. Number one, vetiver. Number two, sage. And if you want, number three, the combination between these two ingredients. It simply sports a vibe of dated, and I don't really like it. As I've said it many times, vetiver has become a note that's boring to me and to my nose, although it was one of my favorite ingredients in perfumery, and the way it's interpreted in this composition isn't my cup of tea. Therefore, Colonial Futura is one of those fragrances that feature ingredients that I truly enjoy, but I dislike the end result. In the case of this one, Diptyque Philosikos EDP, the reason is very simple. The performance. The fig inside this one is really, really well done. But I don't like the coconut from the composition. And also, I don't like the performance. For me, Diptyque is a very overly hyped type of house. I never enjoyed their creations. I never was a big fan. Therefore, I'm not a big fan of Philosikos either. Because they're expensive, you pay a lot of money, and the performance simply isn't there. It's very weak. And this is the EDP, not the EDT. The EDT is even worse. Philosicos EDP from the house of Diptyque. Let's go to the next one. And the next one comes from the house of Manchera. And this here has to be my most hated, because this one I truly hate. Fragrance, all time. It's called Haute Café. This fragrance on me, from the first moment, from the first time, from the first day, smelled like green celery. You have agarwood, you have coffee, you have a lot of ingredients in this fragrance. Yet, every single time, this one smells like green celery. And it's annoying. Annoying as hell. In the beginning, you may find it intriguing, unique, or somewhat like that, but in the end, it starts to become very annoying. Also, performance-wise, this is bad. That's the truth. Haute Café from the house of Manchera. And there is another one from this house featured in this list, and it's called Crazy for Wood. This isn't a bad fragrance per se. It's actually very powerful, very strong, very complex, but I dislike it due to one ingredient, and that is the Laotian wood found inside, which comes out very barnyardy, I would say. Quite animalic, quite harsh, abrasive, and that's why I dislike this fragrance. Also, because you have that beautiful tiramisu note inside, which is very delicious, but in combination with the agarwood, with the Laotian agarwood, doesn't really work. So Crazy for Wood isn't a fragrance that I favor. That's why I decided to purchase, immediately after I purchased Crazy for Wood, its brother, Precious Wood, which is something different. You also have tiramisu, you also have agarwood, and you also have an added whiskey note inside. As good as Crazy for Wood, monster type of fragrance, very good performance, but the wood in this one, the agarwood, is something else. It doesn't come as abrasive, as animalic, as barnyardy, like the one featured in Crazy for Wood. Let's go to the house of Amouage, because here, this fragrance is giving me headaches. I've been owning this fragrance since last year, so it's 1 year since it's sitting on my shelf. It's discontinued in this form, and it's called Amouage Opus V. This fragrance should be about rum, should be about agarwood, should be about iris, and whatnot. On my skin, every single time that I wear this fragrance, it's a very dusty, musky fragrance with a lot of jasmine, with a lot of rose, and all the other ingredients like rum, like agarwood, like iris are nowhere to be found. And this is the reason for which I dislike Amouage Opus V. It becomes too feminine, should I say it? It becomes too feminine on my skin, and it's very, very musky. I don't know why, but it's very, very musky. And I simply dislike the route it goes, it decides to go. And in the same ballpark comes a fragrance that I actually enjoyed in the beginning from the house of Alexandre J, the Majestic Musk. The same exact thing happens with this one, just like with Opus V. Extremely musky. And don't get me wrong, I love musk in fragrances, but this is very vegetal, I would say. Would be the best term to describe it. It's a very green herbal type of musk, and I simply can't stand it. You should have pepper in this one. You should have citruses. Actually, nowhere to be found on my skin. I did enjoy it in the beginning, but wearing it for longer periods, because this one is also in my collection from last year or even more. But it started to become very, very annoying in the end. Very good performance, but that's pretty much it. And the next one comes from the house of Penhaligons, and it's this one. It's called Cousin Matthew, the duck. A very simplistic composition, but it only features 3 ingredients. This is a neroli-centered type of fragrance. This shouldn't be a problem for me because I love neroli, I love orange flowers in perfumery, but in this one, the performance, it's simply nowhere to be found. It's a very weak fragrance. It starts off with a punch, it's very intrusive, it's very powerful, and after about 1 hour, it simply dies on you. And that's it. And this is an expensive fragrance. It isn't cheap at all. Therefore, this is why I dislike it, although it features some ingredients that I truly enjoy. Unfortunately, Cousin Matthew for me isn't the best from the house of Penhaligons, and as you can see, I do have a lot of Penhaligons in my collection, especially from the older bottles, but it is what it is. The last one in this list comes from the house of Healy, James Healy, and this, I have to be honest with you, is a very, very peculiar fragrance. It's very intriguing for me, even nowadays. Marin. I don't know what's going on with this fragrance, because it's very unique as an interpretation. It has a very interesting composition, but there is something in it that simply makes it strange. Because this is the best way to describe it. This is a very strange fragrance. It has one of the nastiest lemon accords that I ever sniffed in a fragrance. It also features leather. It's something very unique. You also get sand in this one. So the overall feeling of this fragrance is that you are walking on a beach or somewhere near a beach. This is how it smells. Although it doesn't feature aquatic notes. But as I said, the reason for which I dislike this fragrance is that lemon accord, which is atrocious, to be honest with you. I never sniffed something like that in my life. Marin from the house of Healy. And this pretty much does it for this video, guys. This is my list with fragrances that that feature ingredients that I love in perfumery. But the end result isn't what I was expecting, isn't something that I'm keen on wearing. But keep in mind one simple rule. This might be only my case. This might be applicable only to me, not to you. That's why, as always, I encourage you to test the fragrances out, to wear them on your own skin, to see how they interact with your skin's chemistry, to see how they smell, to see how they perform. And afterwards, if you like them, go ahead and purchase a full bottle. But my recommendation, as always, is test them out. What I'm telling you in my videos reflects my experience with these products and nothing more. All that I'm doing is to provide you with an information coming from my experience, which is quite long with this type of products. Therefore, if you find that information useful, I'm very happy for you. If not, again, I'm very happy for you. If you're interested in testing this type of products and you live in the European Union, you have in the top right corner of this video my website. You can contact me there. As always, thank you for your time. See you in the next one. And remember, be safe, be good, smell good, feel good. Peace.